the Not Your Average Marriage podcast, hosted by my mom and dad, Shanita and Rashad.
Hi guys,
What's
welcome
up?
back to another episode of Not Your Average Marriage. This is part 2 of
Dose.
business discussions, I guess.
Yes.
So if you haven't watched part 1, you can go back and watch that. That's when we talked mainly about I guess it's our business, but Rashad takes charge of it, but it's technically ours. But the investments that we've made and rental properties that we have, and how he got into it, and how kind of he brought me along into it. So if you haven't watched that, go back and watch that. Okay?
Yes. Now, we're going to take a look at Shanita's timeline.
So
Yeah, Shanita's timeline. Very interesting.
so my
Lots up and
timeline,
downs.
my timeline, I guess, I don't know. My timeline dates back to 2005 maybe?
I don't know.
No,
when it started.
2004, because it was when we first started dating. Okay, so I'm sure mostly everybody knows I own a daycare slash preschool, however you want to call it. We do preschool, but we're a full day childcare center. But I went to school for social work. So I have my bachelor's degree in social work as well as my master's degree in social work. While I was in school, I worked at a daycare center, Childcare Network, shout out to Childcare Network, as an assistant teacher. I was like, oh, I like playing with kids, and it'll be fun for me to get some extra money while I'm in school.
Pause. Can we talk about how I was in childcare too?
Oh my
Shout out to Camp
gosh.
Geronimo, Fort Bragg.
Y'all,
Summer
he just
camp
did,
counselor.
first of all,
Shout out to Kiki.
he did something for the summer. First of all, summer
I've done it for
programs
years.
don't even have to adhere to the same childcare rules. So he think he know about childcare, but he don't. They just play games and
I
stuff
was the
all
best
day.
camp counselor ever, yo.
That's all they did, and he think he knows something.
I started working there when I was 14 years old.
Clearly, he didn't know what he was doing.
It was great.
Who can work with somebody?
Best summer job ever, yo. All I did was play with the kids. Good times.
And let's talk about privilege. Who else had a job at 14, guys? I know I didn't.
Just saying. I used to go buy my every day. Every payday, I used to go to the PX and go get me some Air Force Ones.
Okay, so this episode's not about you.
Okay, sorry. I just had to interject. I'm just saying how I was. We was on the same trajectory because
No, we weren't. We weren't.
All right, go ahead.
Not at all. Where was I?
Childcare Network.
So yeah, I was working at Childcare Network, and I was like, oh yeah, this would be fun for me to get some extra money and just have something to do. So little did I know, I completely fell in love with childcare at that job. And not necessarily because of the place, but because of the children that I work with, because I was majoring in social work at the time, and the childcare center I happened to work at were a lot of families that had childcare vouchers, some low income families, and I don't know, maybe because I was one of those kids growing up, I just really attached to it, and I just loved it. I loved what I got out of it. It was just great. So anyway, but I graduated college, and I was like, I majored in social work. That's what I'm supposed to be doing, is social work.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought too.
I was like, so I left, because even when I was in grad school, after I left Childcare Network, I went to the Y. I became the site director for their after school program. So I was kind of moving up a little bit in childcare. But then once I graduated with my social work degree, I was like, I need to do some social work. That's what my degree in. So I went into therapy. I did in-home counseling. But all this time I'm still working with kids, with behavior issues or at risk of being in foster care during that time. And then I went from there to being a foster care social worker, still working with kids. And then what? I had Alyssa, and then I was still working as a social worker. Mm-hmm. And what I realized once I had Alyssa, being a social worker took a lot of my time away from my own child.
Yeah, and I tell you what I realized is how expensive childcare was. And I was like, bro, you might as well just stay home because this joint is high.
Yeah.
Like, because I had no idea. Like, man, what were we playing?
That was the last thing we thought about. As we were planning for a kid, we were like, okay, we gotta pay for diapers, wipes, formula. We did not, I don't know why, y'all, but we did not think about daycare. Bruh. I don't know why.
And I do the budget, so I think back then I was doing the budget too.
I was doing the budget.
Were you doing it then? Okay. And I'm like, yo, like, how much were we paying? Like, how much were we paying?
Back then, it was a little bit cheap. I think it was like $800 a month instead of like what would be like over $1,000 now. I think it was like almost $900 a month.
Man, I'm thinking about when Alyssa and Elena was in. But go ahead.
Oh yeah, them together. Yeah,
it was hot. But all right, go ahead. So proceed.
So once I had Alyssa, I realized that social work took a lot of time away from my child, but I enjoyed what I was doing. I loved working with kids in foster care and making sure they were safe, and some of them got adopted. I loved it. Then here comes the second child. I'm pregnant. I'm cranky. Being pregnant and I already got a 2-year-old, that's tiring. So I think I was like, I want to say I was 10 months pregnant, and I told Rashad, I was like, I want to stay home. I can't do this no more.
I was
too
like,
much.
this is
it's
the
too
worst.
much.
I was like, why would you do that?
And I told him, and I was like, look, bruh. And let me rewind. When I worked at Childcare Network, we had first started dating. And I told him when we were 19, and I told him, I said, one day I think I want to own my own daycare center.
Yeah, because I bought you the book.
Yeah, and he was like, well, if you want to, then that's cool. And then my birthday came around, and he bought me this book that say how to open your own childcare business. And I still have that book to this day. And I read it. And so when I was pregnant with Elena, here we are in 2012, I'm pregnant with Elena, and I'm like, I got Alyssa, she's 2, I'm pregnant, and I was like, and social work is just is very stressful, and it's taking a lot of time away from the family. And you know, I was stressed all the time. I had an attitude with you most of the time because I was tired and I was stressed. So yeah, I was like, I just want to stay home. I was like, I can stay home, be a stay-at-home mom while still working on my business. And what were your thoughts towards that?
I was like, I'm looking at the numbers. Yeah. I'm like, yo.
Numbers all the time.
I'm like, man, this ain't good. Like, not necessarily it's not good, because if you take her income out, and by the time you add up. And
basically, and what I told him, y'all, was like, when the second child comes, my income as a social worker would have just been going to daycare. That was it. And
that's what happened. Like, I'm a seer. I gotta see it. It's gotta be tangible for it to make sense in my head. So like, it didn't hit me until I'm like, man, yeah, what she's making, it would have just been going straight to childcare. So at that point, I'm like, all right, cool. Like, we just not gonna be able to, maneuver how we used to maneuver a little. We're gonna have to take a little bit of cut here. It'll be all right. We'll be fine. But in my head, I'm like, yo, this sucks. You know what I'm saying? But
That's about the same time you started couponing?
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't know. Man, that coupon king, man. Yo, I was out here. Yeah, I was out here in the coupon streets, man.
We made it work.
Yeah.
We made it work.
I had so many diapers and wipes, and man, if I would have been. I still do it I might catch a deal every now and then and do it, but yeah, that was around that time. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I stayed home with it was October. Elena was born in January. I stayed home. I was slowly working on my business. I was like writing business plans. I didn't know whether I wanted to do in-home daycare, whether I wanted to have a building. And so we were in Virginia at the time, and so I started, looking at houses, possibly to rent out, to revamp into a daycare. I remember looking at one particular house, and then it ended up not working out because they were saying that it wasn't zoned for business. I would have had to go to the city and, get them approved this and that, and it just ended up not working out. So, and then I went into real estate for a while because I was like, he was doing the investing thing, and we was like, bet I can be a realtor, he can do the investing, we can be a duo or whatever, and it could work. Y'all, real estate is not for me. I am not a salesperson. I can't sell nothing. I'm gonna just tell you, I can sell some childcare, but other than that, I can't sell nothing.
Yeah, didn't you do like, I think you did one sale with the rental.
I did one.
Yeah,
I did one,
and
y'all.
that was a rental.
Yes.
Yeah. So it wasn't a full, like 3%.
I realized what is not for me.
Hey, yeah.
I realized. So at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm going to just go back to what I know. And I went back to social work. So I stayed home for a whole year. A year and some change. So Elena was 1 before she went to daycare. We found a daycare. We found La Petite. I loved that daycare. And I had found a position where I was actually a supervisor. I was like a regional coordinator for other counselors. So I was in a supervisory position. So I was making a little bit more. Not a lot more, but a little bit more to be able to pay for daycare and had a little bit left over at that time. So I was doing that for a while, and then it just wasn't, and here where my heart and my mind and everything comes to play, and I'm like, it's just not working for me. Like I'm still feel like all my time is I work, go pick the kids up from daycare, we cook, bath, bed, do it all over again tomorrow.
Awful. Like, from a marriage standpoint, it was awful for me. Like it was.
Yeah.
I would say that's some of the rougher times from a marriage standpoint
It was just so repetitive.
Yeah, it was not, in those days it was hard. New kids, communication went right. Those were some of the roughest times.
Yeah.
Go ahead on that.
So so I was working as a regional coordinator with other counselors. Both of the girls were at La Petite. And I love the ladies at La Petite. I used to talk to them all the time. I remember the director there. She used to talk to me all the time. And one day, I think the daycare sent out a letter and said that the director was leaving. She was transferring to a school in Florida because her and her husband, they had got older and they always wanted to move to Florida, and one of the Florida daycares had a position for her, so they was transferring. And so when I came in, I was like, why are you leaving? Like, she was a great director. I loved her, whatever. And so she was like, yeah. She was like, I just, want something different. I want to move. She said, and I don't know how, but she was like, but I know you have a background in childcare. She was like, have you ever thought about being a director? And so I'm like, well, you know what? I have, but I had never, like, at that point, for me, because I had gone through the whole business plan, trying in Virginia, it was kind of like, I was just like, okay, I'm going to just keep doing social work because the childcare thing ain't working out. Like, it was just a dream. It ain't working. And so when she approached me with that, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I can do this. And I kind of talked to him about it. And at first, when he heard what the salary was, he was like, bruh,
yeah,
why would you do that? Like, that salary cut, why would you do that? But then that child care discount.
That discount. I was like, okay, now we talking. Because, I mean, essentially it was a raise. If you think about it, like, she wasn't making as much. Because if you factor in what I was making, but then you added in the child care expenses that we were saving, when you added that up, I was essentially making more than what I was making as a social work supervisor. Yeah. That's when I realized how lucrative childcare was. And that's when I was like, oh, all right, now I get it.
Yeah.
And that's when I got it. The light bulb didn't click on. Even all those years of support, blah, 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 it didn't click until she took that job. Then I was like, all right, now I get it.
Yeah. So I was at La Petite for about a year and a half. Absolutely loved it. I loved that center. I loved all the teachers. My girls loved it. That was a great experience. I guess that was my first year as a director. That was a great experience for me. And I think mainly because I had great teachers. A lot of them were seasoned. They already knew what they were doing. And I just pretty much had to come in and just go with the flow. Yeah, keep it going. So it was great. But then we had the opportunity to move back to North Carolina, and I always wanted to move back home.
Yeah.
I guess not so much him, but I
wanted to go back. I wanted to go back. It just depended where. I didn't want to move back to. I didn't want to go to like Greensboro. I didn't want to go to Raleigh. It was between Raleigh and Charlotte.
I was about to say Raleigh was.
It was the only option. It was Raleigh or Charlotte, and I was like, I don't want to go to Raleigh. I want to go to Charlotte. I thought Charlotte's a bigger city. I still need a city vibe. I love DC. Like, DC was dope to me. She hated it. I
didn't hate it. I liked our time in DC. It was a great experience. But for me, I don't know. I just always wanted to raise our kids here. I wanted, when they started school, I wanted it to be here. I don't know why. I just wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So anyway, he was traveling a lot. And so his job told him if he wanted to relocate, that he could because he was just doing traveling.
Yeah, I was just traveling.
Yeah, he was
I was
traveling.
hopping on planes and just going everywhere. So.
Yeah. So we it was in a matter of 2 weeks where we had to get everything together.
Yeah.
And pack up, and then we moved to Charlotte. We had a rental while we was getting our house built. So anyway, I left La Petite, and I was like, so when I came here, I was like, okay, perfect time to work on my own business. Why should I, continue to work for somebody else when I know this is what I want? I had more time with my girls. I was happier at home. It was just what I wanted, and I remember what my dream was when I was 19. So we got to Charlotte, revamping my business plan, trying to get funding. Like, y'all, I'm literally, when he came home, because he would come home on Friday, so I would take those Fridays, literally drive around to different banks, presenting my business plan, talking to people, only to get rejected every time.
Networking, yeah.
Only to get rejected every time, but I kept going. Like, I kept networking. Every time there was like, I went to like a business women conference. I actually also signed up. Like, Charlotte has what they call SCORE, is a small business mentorship program where they help you work on your financials, your business plan, all that stuff. So I signed up with them. I got me a mentor. I met with him. He helped me work through my numbers and my business plan. So I did all that, and I went back out driving around to banks. I set myself goals. Like, I would email a certain amount of banks per day.
That's important. The small goals are important.
Yeah, so I would email a certain amount each day. Then I would drive around to a certain amount each day. And I got to a point I was like, it ain't working. It just ain't working. Yeah. So then I went to Tutor Time in Denver, because Tutor Time, La Petite, same family. So I had worked for the business before, and they had a program manager position, which was like an assistant director. So I was like, Alyssa was in school, and then Elena was still at home with me, and I was like, this will give her a chance to be in school. I can still get a discount, and I get paid. So I was like, let me just go back to what I know. I stayed at Tutor Time for like 6 months. Because I'm like, this is not for me. Like, yeah. I know I can do this on my own. I'm not going to keep helping a corporation make millions of dollars and keep putting money in their pocket when I know I can do this on my own.
Yeah.
So, and all this time, I don't know what he's thinking, y'all. Because I'm just like quitting a job saying I can do this, or I'm working my business plan, I'm going to do this. But I knew in my heart what I wanted. And I knew that I could do it. I just had to figure it out. So I ended up quitting Tutor Time, started grinding harder, finally found a bank that said that, this is a good plan. You have the education, you have the background. This might could work.
Yeah, so the biggest thing for me during this process is just progression. Yeah. Like, I just wanted to see that she was working towards something. Like, I didn't care that, you were getting rejected. It's just progression. Like, what are we working towards?
I cared that I was getting rejected.
That was the biggest thing for me. For me, you said you didn't know what I was thinking, but at that time, that's what I was thinking. Go ahead.
I had made a profile on LinkedIn, so I was just like constantly networking, and I was telling, at that time, again, we both introverts, so we don't really talk a lot about what we're doing. But I had told a few family members, I'm on a daycare, and I think for me it was like, you need to say it out loud. If you say it, it's gonna happen. Yeah. So I started telling a few people at a time, and I know like one of the main people, like I told your mom, and so every time we visit his mom, she asks me every time,
my mom is nosy.
How's the daycare going? What you doing now? And so I think for me that was like, okay, I got to keep going, because I'm starting telling people it's got to happen. If this is what I want, it's got to happen. So I think that's a good part. Like, you speak it, and people gonna hold you accountable.
Law of attraction is real, man.
Right.
If you talk it and you about it and you keep working towards it, I think organically it starts to happen. I think that's what happened with me too. But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, so I looked at a couple daycares, and again, like him, like the numbers didn't work, people, because when you own a daycare, a lot of your heart is into it. Like a lot of people want a lot of money for their daycare, but if the business isn't worth it, their enrollment is low, the numbers just don't work a lot of times for what they want. And I get it, because like my daycare is like my third baby. Like a lot of your heart is in it. But I found one. I had networked with this realtor on LinkedIn. I saw that he sold daycares, and I just kind of told him, keep me in the loop if you have anything come up. And so he had my center now that came up, and he was like, the owner's motivated. She's just tired of being in childcare because it comes with a lot of stressors. And it was a great location, a great building, and the numbers worked. And I'm gonna tell you, it scared the poop out of me. I was like, I told him, I said, Rashad, this one might actually work.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so for him being a real estate person, he was like, yo, do it. And I'm like, but how? Like, I'm like, it's too much. This is a for real. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, this is a for real daycare center. Not like some in my house or just one little classroom. I'm like, this is a for real center.
Yeah, and I think it's important. In real estate, it's the same thing. There's a saying, if you have a deal, I think I told you this, if you have a deal, like the money's going to come. Like if the numbers work, the money will come. And so I kept saying that. And even to this day, whether it's real estate or anything that you're working on, if you have a good product, if you have a good service, the money's going to come. So continue.
And so going off of that, the business part was a big part for me that I had to learn. So technically, I have a minor in business from UNCG, but I barely made it through those classes. So that was the hardest part for me, is learning numbers, learning about my budget, my balance sheet, profit and loss, like doing all that stuff. That was the hardest part for me. Like working with kids, doing some preschool curriculum, working on behavior management, all of that. I knew that, like I loved it, but the business side was the hardest part for me. But anyway, so this deal came up. I started presenting the numbers to the bank that seemed a little bit interested for my business plan. And I ended up having 2 different banks that wanted to offer me a loan for my business. And so it all boiled down to who was giving me the better interest and the better, situation. So I ended up going with a lender that, value, minority women business owners. So I ended up going with them, and luckily, and my center, and it was funny going in, I'm younger, and that was a issue with a lot of the banks I went to too. They looked at me and they literally asked me, well, how old are you? How long have you been doing this? And when I would tell people, I've been working with children and families for over 10 years, and they'd be like, really? Like, how old are you? And so I think I'm a young African-American woman. And so I think a lot of times when I went into banks, they just looked at me and was like, well, we really not offering to daycare centers right now, or we really don't have the funds. And it will really frustrate me, because I know they just looked at me and said, oh, she young and she just think she want to have fun with kids, when I really had the business mindset. So we ain't gonna get into all that, but that really peed me off. But anyway, this deal worked out, and I was young coming in, and a lot of my teachers are older than me, and I love I absolutely love them. Them ladies are like my second family. Like Miss Joyce is like my grandma. Miss Veronica is like my mom. And we all like work together. And it's truly a blessing. It ain't want nothing but the Lord, child. Like it's crazy.
So do you want to talk about like the numbers?
The numbers with
and, like with the daycare and how, like, because we got into that with minimal money out of our own pocket.
Oh yeah. So what happened was, so I originally went to BB&T because I, through my networking and everything, they was like, you want to work with the smaller banks because they're willing to give a little bit more. And we both work with small banks.
All I work with small. If you're trying to run a business, don't go to Wells Fargo, don't go to Bank of America. Stick with your small regional local banks.
Even if you bank with them, because we bank with bigger banks.
We've been with Wells Fargo
since college.
Yeah, forever. So it doesn't help you in the long term.
So I went to BB&T first. I opened up my business account with them, and so while we were there, that's when they were like, "You want a line of credit?" And we was like, a home equity? Was like, we don't want to put our house up, for nothing or whatever. They was like, no, you just qualify for a line of credit.
Yeah.
And so me at first, I was like, I don't like having no loans, no credit cards, no nothing. So I was like, I don't know. This guy over here, like, sure, why not? Let's get it. And I'm glad he did, because I ended up using that for my part of my down payment.
We used that for a good portion of the down payment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to say it, but I think we got into that with, how much we come out of pocket?
I think out of pocket we only paid like $10,000.
Yeah, it was very.
We only paid like $10,000 out of pocket.
I say that in with perspective, like in the perspective of the entire deal, that's a very small amount.
And my business was $490,000.
Yeah, exactly.
And we only came $10,000
out of pocket with $10,000. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like, again, just it's not impossible. Don't look at the numbers and get overwhelmed. Like I said, if you have a deal, the money's gonna come.
Right. And again, the lender I work with, they kind of helped me, like you said, finagle the numbers to figure out how it would work. And I was adamant about, because a lot of banks was like, oh, well, you can use your house for collateral. At that time, we had just moved in. I was like, I'm not using my brand new built house as collateral. I was like, I know this is my passion. This is what I want to do. I'm just not comfortable with that. And so I figured out a way where I wasn't able to use my house, but I was able to use my actual childcare center, the building, as collateral.
Yeah, and then we also used the truck, our truck that was paid off.
We used the truck. No, something. I got a small business. That's right. We used our truck that was completely paid off. We got a small business loan with our truck as collateral.
No car payments to this day.
Yeah. And that helped with the down payment as well.
Yeah.
So we combined the small business loan from the truck and the line of equity as a down payment. And then I ended up paying off that loan, and we got our title back, and truck still paid off, no payments.
Yeah, it's amazing I'm telling you, when you have a deal and the numbers work, and you hand this over to a bank and say, hey, this is what I have, it's amazing how things will shift and they will make it work. Like same with my scenario with the house I just bought in Greensboro. Like, they made it work. It worked. So like, and the numbers work in my favor. Like, it's not like it's a bad deal. The numbers work, but sometimes there's some a little bit of adjusting, a little bit of tweaking here and there they have to do just to make it.
And a lot of times they see something that you don't see, or they can see a way to change it to make it work that you didn't even know was possible. But that's their job. That's what they do.
Yeah.
So just because you don't see it, and even if you go and they say, no, this not going to work. I know for me in the beginning, it didn't work, but they told me, okay, you can do this, this, and this. Or if you change this, and this, or if you look for a deal that's this and this, then it could work. And you just have to take those things and apply it and learn from it and just keep going. You can't give up. You just got to take what you learn. A lot of people don't like taking the constructive criticism and they want to just do it their way. But sometimes you gotta use what people tell you, do it their way a little bit, so you can get to a point where you can do everything your way. Because I feel like I'm at a point now where I'm just doing it my way.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I had to finagle and do what I needed to do to get to where I wanted to be. So it's worked out great. And like he said, even with, COVID and everything going on, my business has been great. And I think it's because, again, I'm from a social work background. My heart is with children that need it the most. I work with a lot of low-income families that have vouchers, and I love them. They're good parents. They are full-time working parents that just need quality care for their kids. They're not somebody just that's sitting around living off the system and, just getting all these free things. They are parents that are working full-time every day and are working hard to, make a way for their kids, and they're just doing what they need to do. So I'm happy that me and my staff can be a safe place for their kids, and I don't take that for granted. And I just love it that I'm doing something that my heart loves, but I'm able to provide for my family at the same time and able to build. Even with my teachers, I'm able, when I got to my center, a lot of my teachers had never gotten raises or hadn't had a raise in like 5-10 years. And when I was able to give them a raise, it was great. I've had teachers that buy new cars. They had a new car in years. Teachers bought new houses. Teachers going on vacations out of the country and just doing different, like, in order to see them flourish, and it's to see my teachers and my families just be happy. I don't know, it makes me happy.
Yeah.
So I don't make six figures, but what I get from being able to see my teachers and the families that I serve flourish, and be able to have the flexibility to have more time for my family and to be able to still make a living, like, I just love the flexibility of that. So
okay, so what's next from here? So are we opening up center number 2? What's the deal?
So yeah, so it's scary. Again, if your dreams don't scare you, they're probably not big enough. So for me, at first, I've been going back and forth. And at one point I'm like, yeah, I want to have like 3-4 centers, and then recently I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe one more, and that's it. Because your heart, daycare centers is not. I know a lot of people think, oh, daycare centers are expensive. You can get a lot of money for it.
Which you can.
No, you can't. Like us personally, you don't make a lot of money from it. You make a good enough money, but not a lot of money.
That's relative.
Okay. Anyway, y'all. So I want to open up one more center, because a lot of your heart goes into it. It's a lot of stresses, because you are taking care of somebody's child for a good portion of the day. That is a huge responsibility. I love it, and we do it well. And what scares me is because the teachers I work with right now, like, I love them. Like, I have the most confidence in them. They do a great job. I know on in the second center where I got to get to know whole new staff and whole new teachers. That's what's scary, because it's some crazy people out here. You don't know what you're getting. And I want to make sure whatever center I get, they're going to take care of them babies to the best of their ability. So that's what's scary. But I think there are a lot of other kids out there that need someone like me to come in and make sure that they're going to be taken care of. So I do want to open another center. Hopefully I'll be able to promote from my teachers now, because I do also help a lot of my teachers. We have the state offers a scholarship program where I put some into it, they put some into it, for my teachers to be able to advance and get degrees and things like that. So I'm hoping, because I have like 3 or 4 teachers right now that are going to school on that scholarship program. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to promote one of them to be able to help me when I'm able to get a new center, and they can lead that one, and we can go from there. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because your daughter's over there playing.
Oh.
But,
so yeah, that's my plan. And also maybe I can get this little side photography business popping on the side.
No, what are your other ideas and aspirations that you talk about you want to open? And
I have a whole lot of ideas and aspirations. So I've always wanted to be a fitness instructor, because I do a dance fitness thing, but I enjoy doing it, and my girls enjoy doing it with me. And I just thought that might always be an option, because I actually think it's fun working out. And then I recently got into guns. I took concealed carry class, and I've got into, going to a shooting range and doing that. And I think there should be more women doing concealed carry classes. I think they would feel more comfortable. So I've thought about doing those as well. I've started, with my girls, them training and shooting and stuff.
Yeah, we got BB guns in the back right now.
Yeah, with targets. So, but yeah, so I want those 2 things, and then I recently started photography.
No, I recently started photography and videography, and she took it.
And I'm just better, so
she's not better.
That's what happened.
The video is my part. She has the photography.
It's a couple things, but I try to focus on one thing at a time. I don't like to be all over the place.
Well, I got a 1-track mind. That's get some apartments, so
yeah,
that's all I'm focused on.
But I can't help. I'm just good at a lot of things.
Oh, okay.
So
that talk. All right. So that being said, we're gonna end this thing. I don't think we're gonna do a question night.
Not tonight. So next time.
Maybe next time. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. I think by the time you'll hear this, we'll still be on our RV trip.
Yes, we will.
Through the woods. So
when we get back, we will post it for y'all. So excited.
All right. That being said, we're gonna get out of here. See you guys in the next one.
Be safe.